Hello, everybody. Hope you are having a great start to your May long weekend. Today's topic is May long to be or not to be enjoyed outside, because Saskatchewan is having some very interesting weather. So let us know where you're joining from, where in Canada or the US or around the world are you joining us from. Drop that down below and let us know if you're catching this hashtag live or hashtag replay. Tracy, what was the weather like where you were today?
Well, when I woke up, it had just started to snow. And by the time I did go for my run, and by the time I got back, there was probably almost 2 inches on the top of my car. My feet were soaking wet, and it continued till about noon. There was a lot of white stuff.
Yes, you are very dedicated to running. I would not go outside, and there was certainly more and more snow as it went. So we wanted to start Fridays off this time with some Friday shout outs. So drop some shout outs in the comments if there's someone that's done something awesome for you this week or you want to shout anybody out. I know Tracy's son is a firefighter, and so in Saskatchewan this week, because it's been so dry, he's been very busy. So Tracy?
Yeah, there was, I guess they're calling it the Cloverdale fire, just east of Prince Albert. And so, yeah, shout out to all of the volunteers and the firefighters, and I think all of the RMs. There were even some volunteer firefighters from Melfort who went for, I know, 1 day for sure, and the fire is now contained. There was no structure loss. Zach's girlfriend, fiance, her mom could see flames at the end of her driveway and had been told just to pack the vehicles and wait, and the wind luckily didn't change direction, but I'm not sure how they slept or if they slept that night, because they were told just to stay put. So yeah, he was out from Monday. He works for the city of Prince Albert, so when it started and they were called out, they have a partnership agreement with RM of Buckland, so they were called out Monday fairly early as the fire moved into that RM, and then he did not make it home until about 1:30 on Wednesday morning and was a very tired boy. But yeah, shout out to all of those guys who are trying to catch up on some sleep now that the fire's contained. I know there were still firefighters out putting out hot spots today, and I know there were some stressful times for a lot of people. So luckily, no damage, no lives lost, and the forest was extremely dry. So I know we talked about it, an odd comment of, thank goodness for the moisture, even though it is in the form of the white stuff.
Yes. We said, you're from Saskatchewan when you're like, it snowed in May, but that's really probably good for all of us. The farmers need that. It is really dry. So, and it has been really, really dry because of the fire, but you're from Saskatchewan when. So if you're just joining us now, let us know in the comments where you're joining from and what is the weather like where you are, because I asked that question on Facebook this morning and people said it was above 30 where they were in the US. I think somebody from Mexico said it was 28 there, which sounds absolutely beautiful. They could send some of that heat our way, because we're all worried about the plants freezing and having to cover them in May, which is not unusual to have to cover some of your annuals and things like that, or maybe not set the plants in the containers out. But it froze. It was below zero for quite a while. And we had people talking about, Newfoundland, shout out to Renee if you're watching, it was 21 and sunny, which is kind of sometimes rare for Newfoundland, I think, from what they've shared with us. So it looks like...
But 2 days before here, we were above 30 in May, which is also ridiculous because it's never above 30 in May. So we went from... Yeah, bikinis to searching for mitts and toques again. It was ridiculous.
Yes, and this is what Google said to us.
What's the weather today? In Tisdale today, there'll be snow with a forecasted high of 2 and a low of -3.
Can you hear
Currently, it's -2 degrees with snow.
The weather app actually has the sounds of winter there. We asked Google what the weather was like, and then we were both like, what is that? Like winter sounds, and in the background, I don't know if you can hear, it's like footsteps crunching on snow. I'm like, it is not that much snow here, as we looked out the window, and then by mid-morning there was a lot of snow. My parents had snow drifts in front of their Quonset that they had to shovel. There's a word maybe you don't hear very often, Quonset.
Yes.
Probably not. we should ask how people define the word Quonset. We have a building on where I grew up that was kind of that rounded shape. That was called a Quonset. So you know you're from Saskatchewan when you put the equipment in the Quonset instead of the shop or something like that. So we thought, what are some of the things you don't normally do in May? That is certainly shovel the snow. Sometimes we get snow, sometimes it freezes, but generally there's not 2, 3, 4 inches worth of snow. But it is okay because we did need the moisture. You said you looked for toucan mitts to go outside this morning.
I had to look for a mitt. And that was our other challenge.
Or what?
Well, no, but Andy does right now with her broken arm. And
Yes.
so that was our other challenge, is trying to find a jacket where her cast fit in the jacket and the jacket could be zipped up. We did it, but that was a challenge.
Yes. Whose jacket did you find?
She has one that she wears riding that is an insulated, like a Carhartt jacket, and her cast fit inside. It had a hood, so we were good to go. But anyways, yes, that was our
1 mitt. I was just envisioning you. I was like, do you run with just 1 mitt? Like, why do you do that? Or you found 1 mitt, you lost the other. That happens.
Yes.
Let us know if mittens ever seem to disappear, or masks. I don't know how many masks we have lost this year that seem to have disappeared to different places. Let us know if that's happened to you. Other things, some people finish seeding very early in May, which is good. Some people do, depending on the size of the number of acres they have seeded, but there was a lot of people that had finished seeding already. So hopefully the snow brought moisture and not too cold temperatures, because we went, like Tracy said, from 30 degrees, I think, Monday or Tuesday
32.
with a really high wind.
Yeah.
It was hot out. We had to turn the air conditioning on. Then Wednesday, the temperatures started to drop. Thursday, yesterday, we started getting colder. And then today we had snow. And so we've had about 3 nights that have been below zero. So I uncovered the plants to get the snow off the blankets, but now I got to go back out and cover them up so they don't freeze tonight. The lilies, I'm sure they'll be okay. But I said to Tracy, I spent so much time moving them during the great lily transplant of 2020 that I'm going to cover them up, because I want to see what they actually are, if I got the colors of the lilies in the right place. So anything else that you don't normally do in May that this weather has brought?
I had to shovel off my car this morning. It was outside, so I don't typically park in the garage during the summer, just because there seems to be lawnmowers or whatever else is in our garage. And so my car was parked outside, and I had to find my snow brush. Like, there was a lot of snow on my car when we went out to go to school this morning. So no, I don't typically have to do that in May.
And then they did a road report on the radio. I heard Dan the Chip Man, I think, I don't know if I think he may have retired from selling chips now. I can't remember, Dan, if you're watching out there, but he would always call in and give what road report updates. It was always helpful before it'd have to be on the road, but they were not great today with all of the slush, with that
being slushy. Yeah.
So let us know how your May long is off to, what kind of start it's off to. Normally, what would you do for May long, Tracy?
Normally we just kind of hang out, and occasionally we would head to the lake. So my in-laws have a cabin at Emma, and my parents now have a cabin at Candle. So if it was forecasted to be nice, then we would head to the lake and help with some of that spring cleanup. But typically we stay pretty close to home. My husband is typically in the field, and although there are a lot of guys around here that are finished, and just kind of watching that weather forecast too, because some of the crop is up already, which is good, but not good. And so they're already talking about possibly having to reseed some of the canola, but hopefully not, and the moisture will just be able to do its job. But we don't go too far, but we were talking at work about some of the camping experiences that we had when we were younger. And although I never did do like a big friend camping experience, I was recounting stories of my horse show days, and some of the weekends that we spent, my sister and I would sleep in the cab of the truck, and my parents had a tiny little truck camper, and so they were in the truck camper part. And yeah, it never ended well, and we always ended up all in the camper, and we were always scrapping over something. But then others around the table kind of started talking about their camping experiences, and snow is quite a frequent thing in Saskatchewan in May, and as I found out.
I think it's just usually not maybe this much
Yeah.
or this many days in a row. I remember the year Sadie was born, it snowed in May because I thought, I'll be home. I'll be able to be outside. I'll get the garden in. No. I did learn on Monday, though, talking to Sharon, that she said don't plant until after the planting full moon, which is coming, I believe she said, on Wednesday. So normally May long is when I would put the garden in. Sometimes we go camping May long if it's nice enough. I don't know if we'll go, if it gets above 0, maybe, and maybe above 10 degrees, we maybe will head out to the lake for the day and see. We did go out on the lake last year in the boat. You had to get bundled up because it was still chilly and you couldn't go in the water. Or no one should be in the water in Saskatchewan in May. Although I heard there were people wake surfing at Kip on the weekend or this week, and the water wasn't actually too bad apparently. So different year for Saskatchewan, but again, the snow brings moisture. The moisture helps the crops grow, and hopefully people don't have to do much for reseeding. And farming is always that if you get it in early and it doesn't freeze, and then you can get the crop off sooner, which is good. And then you just never know. It's one of the, I think a shout out to all of the farmers and the long hours that they have put in to get that crop in the ground, because that feeds all of us. So I think that was kind of all of the things on our list. Oh, going shopping for plants. That's always my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite too. I'm holding off, and typically I probably would have all my plants, but I just wasn't feeling it with Andy's arm and everything. So I'm kind of glad that I held off and I'm not moving things around.
Yes. I have a few that I picked up this week and they've just stayed in the house. I haven't even set them outside. It was too windy when I bought them, and then it was too cold and snowy. It was quite the day to watch outside. I woke up, looked out, I was like, oh, that's just a little bit. And then an hour later, I'm like, oh, but you can't see the road anymore. You can't see across behind our house. It was quite the little snowstorm we had going on for a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
That is life in Saskatchewan. So we wish all of you a wonderful long weekend wherever you are. And we hope that you have nice weather to enjoy being outside. So take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.